Sangeetha and Rakshit. I'm absolutely delighted to have you both on Filme Shilmy. It's such a joy to have two very wonderful talents from Kannada Cinema joining us, and a huge congratulations on Triple Seven Charlie.
Thank you so much, Anush. Pleasure being here.
Wonderful. Pleasure is all mine. Now, I think first of all, the film, from my understanding, it seems to be strengthening the bond between animals and humans. So, how emotionally attached did you both get while spending time with the dog as well? Rakshit, I think we'll begin with you and then we'll go to Sangeeta.
Okay. So, to be frank, I had two pets, in my childhood, and I had a personal equation with them. But once both of them passed away, I never had a personal. I mean, I always loved dogs, but I never had a personal equation with any of them. I think once I started shooting for Charlie, I think that kind of bonding started resurfacing once again. And after a long time, I right now have a personal equation with a pet. I in the sense, after the film, I am going to adopt one of the Charlies. Like, we have 4 Charlies right now.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, especially during the workshop, more than the shoot, because shoot was very hectic, and shooting with a dog is not that easy. It tests your patience. But I have had a wonderful time with Charlie during the workshops. Before every schedule, we used to have a workshop of 1 or 2 weeks, so that we don't waste time on set. So I think those workshop days were the best days.
Right. Oh, that's wonderful to hear. Oh, I love that. But yes, I think it must have been very testing for you in terms of time and patience to work with animals. So I can totally understand that aspect, actually. No, but that's wonderful to hear that experience. What about you, Sangeetha? How emotionally invested were you in working with Charlie?
So I did not have that much off the screen space with Charlie as compared to Rakshit sir. But when I had it, it was amazing, because you don't get to act with a dog always, right? And I thought it will be like, it will be fun, unlimited, but it was very difficult, as he said. It was a test of patience, because here you cannot go for, like, I'll try next time better. You have to go for your best shot, every particular shot you go for.
Right. Oh God. Again, it must have been very, very tough as well, I think, for you both to have that patience and to have that that set go mindset. I think it's wonderful. But I find it very interesting in a lot of South films recently that I've seen, especially in the Malayalam language, films like Gajantaram and Jallikattu, in which I found that animals act as the silent commentators of society, whether it's the elephant, whether it's I believe the bull. It's very interesting how animals have become very pivotal characters. So what did I think working with the dog actually teach you the most about humanity in that sense? Rakshit, would you like to go first?
Obviously, the unconditional love, what they show. I think humans, I don't think so humans can do it. I think that's the most beautiful thing about them. You shout at them, and another 2 minutes, they don't even remember it. They are back, with you, showing the same amount of love. And I think that's the most beautiful thing.
Wow, that's wonderful. What about you, Sangeetha?
It was good. Working with animals is different. I never thought like it would be like this. I always felt it would be easier, but it requires a lot of patience, and it's not just us and artists. Like, even our DOP had to go through a lot. He had to keep the focus point at the right timing. So there was a lot of a pressure on everyone who was working for this, and we have worked like day and night, the whole crew.
Right. Wonderful. I think, Rakshit, I think it's such a huge, I think it's wonderful to actually be in conversation. I mean, I have a few friends who are also in the industry, and they speak Kannada. When I mentioned your name to them, they were all smiling and extremely excited that I was going to be speaking with you today. So that just goes to show the huge fan following and love that you have. But I think, given the fact that you're an actor and producer in this title, what motivated you to back this film in particular, rather than actually going for another massive commercial potboiler that we're often seeing nowadays? I mean, for example, like RRR and all these other titles that are coming through. So what made you decide to back this film in particular?
So I have few reasons. One is, the film which I was shooting for, other than before this, that's Avanesh Sriman Narayana. So when I was shooting for that film, there were large schedule breaks in between, because that film was larger than life, and a very fantasy based subject. And since we had to erect sets, huge sets, so from one schedule to another schedule there was huge breaks. So that is when I thought I can make use of that time and shoot a film which is very relatable to real to life, where people get related to it much easily when it comes to emotions. So I wanted to break that larger than life film and do something which is very unique but very relatable. That was one reason. The other reason was when I heard, so we have seen a lot of dog films, right? And how this film is different from the rest of the dog films is that we have not seen a character who's a complete loner, who's an introvert, who doesn't talk to his neighbors or friends or anyone. But when a dog comes to his life, what are the changes which happens in his life? How does he change because of a dog? Now that was very unique for me, because obviously every film has a protagonist going through an internal change by the end of the film.
Sure.
But in this film, the internal change is happening because of a dog. And so ultimately, by the end of the film, you start wondering if the dog has some divine entity towards it, which is actually true, right? Because the unconditional love, or the way they are, the innocence in them is so true, is so divine, that you can't deny it.
Sure.
And so that's the kind of change that the protagonist goes through in the film. So which I thought is very unique, and I wanted to be part of the film.
That's amazing. That's amazing. But I think it's wonderful that you're going for a release which is in different languages. I think it's great, and we're seeing a lot of an influx rather of pan-India releases nowadays. But somewhere down the line, because you're also someone who makes films and produces films, do you fear that this perhaps market will get saturated in that sense? I mean, what do you hope to achieve by releasing 777 Charlie in multiple languages? I mean, of course, the commercial returns, wo to hai, but what else do you want to achieve from that?
No, see, first of all, we have shot for 167 days for this film, and it was 3 years of commitment, and the director has given the 5 years of commitment. So it was a lot of passion. It was made with a lot of passion and dedication, and once you have a product, where you have given so much time to it, and that this film can't be done again. The same team, even if we ourselves we wish to do a part 2 of this, I'm sure I'm not going to do it, because the once in a lifetime experience, you don't want to repeat it once again. It's done. And I'm sure, if you actually know the kind of experience what we have had, probably no other actor also would come, or none of the other team also would dare to do something like this. So you can't recreate this once again. So when you have a product in hand, which definitely has a potential when it comes in terms of market across the country, and if you don't tap it, I believe it is a crime. So that's the reason why we are taking this film pan India, and probably since this film again, it won't be coming again. I think also the audience deserve to watch a film like this.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's definitely a nice break from all the hardcore films that we've been seeing nowadays. And I think it's wonderful to have a very soulful, humanized film in that sense. But I'm going to talk a bit more about your careers. I mean, because you both are very extremely talented individuals. I mean, in fact, Sangeetha, you're a prominent face, I think, in the Kannada film and TV space. In fact, I've heard and read that your portrayal of Sati was very popular on television, and you've done a lot of feature films after that, which again have been very well received. But how challenging has it been for you, I think, for you to break away from that TV actor image? Because I know whenever I do a lot of interviews with a lot of Hindi actors who begin their careers with television, they're often subjected to that classism and that stereotype of being a TV actor. So how challenging was it for you to break away from that? Did you ever face a hurdle of that sort, actually?
Not actually. I don't think. Probably, I have personally never faced it. The thing is, I have done only one serial before Harar Mahadev. That was my debut, and that was shot in Mumbai, and it was pretty, like, it was beautifully made, and it was first of its kind.
Yes.
In South India, and it was also dubbed into other languages like Tamil, Telugu, and Malayalam. So I was always approached in a very positive way. I did get many characters like Sati again and over again, but I chose not to do serial anymore, and I wanted to do films after this because I wanted to do more characters in limited time. So that will only happen if you do movies. In serial, you have to do the same character for a year and over again. So I wanted to explore this artist side more. So that's why I chose industry. And I never faced anything as such. Basically, Sati, she dies, like she sacrifices her body. Right?
Yeah,
so that is Sati Dahan, right? So after Sati Dahan, Sati cannot be reborn in the same face as Parvati. So logically, if you see, Parvati cannot have my face. Then people will also not connect. She's supposed to have some new face. So that was one reason in Devukadev Mahadev also they had to completely have a new face for Parvati.
Correct.
But still, after some time, the channel again approached me as they wanted me back as Parvati, and like there was some complications, and even the audience demanded. So as Sati had given me a lot of fame, and it is the reason I got my beautiful career, I wanted to just give it back to them, and I came back as Parvati and finished the project.
And I must tell you one thing. I mean, what a great role to begin your career with. Such a pavitra role and such a divine role to begin with. So I think kudos goes to you. And I'm really happy to see this growth that you're having as an actor. It's great to hear that story. But I think when it comes to non-conformist genres, Rakshit, you're definitely one I've heard who's obviously never really stuck to a genre or to a particular style. And I know mythology, and I've also heard, again, mythology is something which is quite, you seem to reference that a lot in your works, if I'm not wrong. Apologies, it's because it's the first time I'm doing an interview with Kannada actors, so I'm just wanting to discover and know a bit more about your crafts and your style of cinema as well. But I think even as a filmmaker, again, like I mentioned, that has also been appreciated. So as an artist, what appeals the most to you, Rakshit? What really gets you going as an artist?
See, as an actor, I think the first thing what I see in a script is what is the character arc of my character in the script, and what are the internal changes the character goes through, other than obviously the story tells the external fight which a character will go through. But I am more concerned about the internal change, because I always keep I keep questioning myself if while playing a character, when I go through those emotions, me as Rakshit, is there an internal change happening inside me as well? So that's something which I keep questioning myself.
Right. And I think it's interesting as well, because when I spoke with Madhuri Dixit recently, I asked her this question about whether she faces this conflict in her life, and because you spoke about this internal process. So because again, you are a huge star and you have a massive fan following in that sense as well. When you wake up every morning, do you ever face conflicted between what is the Rakshit that is you versus the image that's being created of you? Do you ever face a conflict of that sort ever in your life?
So I with every film I see there's a difference in what I am. So which is why very recently I've started asking myself, what actually I am, what am I? So that question has started haunting me very recently, because after doing so many roles, every time I go to set, or when I see the making videos, I am in a certain way in the set of Charlie. I am in a certain way in the set of ASN. I'm in a certain way in the set of Kirik Party. And now when I'm doing Saptasagar Rachayello, I'm a different person. Now, I'm not very sure if is it because that, because Kirik Party was done in 2015, and then it's been like 2-3 years I've done ASN. Then the next 2-3 years I've done Charlie. And now it's last 1 year I've been doing Saptasagar Rachayello. Is it because of the time that I am changing, or is it because of the characters I've been playing? If those characters have changed me, so that answer I have not got yet. But I believe at the same time that probably the films and my life goes in parallel.
Right.
And I've always tried to understand myself because of the experience what I've had while working. I believe that any experience in life, especially when you're 80% of the time you're working, so and the most of the experience you get in life is because of the work. All the challenges you face is because of the work, and those challenges are the ones which teach you life. Like they tell you what your they talk about your insecurities, they talk about what you're good at and what you're bad at, your pros and cons, everything. For me, in a way, that way, acting is very spiritual, or filmmaking itself is very spiritual.
That is, oh wow, I absolutely love this, and I think this is the crux of the interviews that I do, is speaking about this internal process. So, Rakshit, what would you say has been the toughest time in your life, and how do you think you were able to deal with that? Do you feel like pain and grief? How do you internalize pain and grief? Because I often say that, I believe that, creatives have to have faced some sort of pain in their lives or some sort of grief in order to portray that very convincingly on screen. So how have you managed to internalize that process as well?
So luckily, in many ways, I've always been a logical person. That way, I have always stayed detached from everything in my life, and so there are very few people whom I get attached to. Since I have followed the detachment all my life and I've been logical, I think it is during 777 Charlie's when I started understanding emotions in a very better in a better way. But at the same time, as an actor, you're performing a scene, you're going through an emotion, but at the same time you're not suffering, because that's not you. The pain belongs to the character. The journey belongs to the character. It's not Rakshit himself. So you are going through the pain, but from a distance, and that I believe is if you can adopt that in our real life as well, when there is pain, and if you run away from the pain, then probably that will create a big problem, because that pain will stay inside you. You're just avoiding it. But if you can go through the pain and just observe it, not suffer, but just observe it as someone else, like have a third perspective of your own.
Right. Interesting. That's wonderful to hear. But who would you say is your inspiration, I think, for both of you, actually, when it comes to acting? In fact, Sangeetha, I'd like to ask you, actually, who would you say, which actor or creative inspires you in bringing out that craft and bringing that formidability of you as an actor?
Well, if you're saying Kannada industry, I always love Soundarya ma'am. She's no more, but I have watched her films, and everywhere I have seen her very simple, and I love her. And most of the time I smile a little like Connor, because I used to watch her. I admire her a lot. And when it comes to Bollywood, I love Deepika Padukone and Priyanka Chopra, also for the roles they have chosen always. So I love them.
Oh, wow. Great choice, I must say. Very beautiful choices. I actually agree with you. I'm also a big fan of the names that you've mentioned there too. And I think it's wonderful to see that. What about you, Rakshit? Who is your cinema icon?
Oh, I am a huge fan of Shankar Nag. And if you've watched Malgudi Days, those were directed by him. So he's from Kannada industry, and I think he's given a few of the amazing films as a director and as an actor as well. So that's him. And other than that, I have names like Quentin Tarantino, Guy Ritchie, Christopher Nolan, and Martin Scorsese, Anurag Kashyap, and these are the few filmmakers who inspired me.
Oh, wow. Wonderful. I think it's great as well because Kannada cinema has really evolved over time. And again, unfortunately, my knowledge is very limited on this. So it'd be wonderful to hear your inputs and your insights into the industry and the way it's evolved. But I believe it now churns out more than 250 films a year, if I'm not wrong, about roughly that much or slightly more, Rakshit. I mean, if you could.
I think after the pandemic, it has reduced. But yeah, before pandemic, it used to churn out somewhat around that. Yeah.
Right. And I think it's wonderful how big blockbusters like KGF have really put the language, that language cinema on a global map now. And I think it's wonderful to see that growth. So what is your opinion on this sort of trajectory that Kannada cinema is having? And how do you see the industry growing further now? And what goals do you have, Rakshit, to perhaps contribute towards that growth?
I think, until now, I mean, comparatively, Kannada film industry was probably the overall turnout of the industry
Right.
was much lesser when it compared to the neighboring industry, which is Telugu and Tamil. They, their overall turnout is even in almost double, I believe. But since from last few years, things have changed, and KGF alone has done 1,000 crores now. So that's a good start. Probably 2 years back, if you had asked, if you had, I couldn't imagine that there will be a film which will make 1,000 crores from our industry. But I think KGF has showed that if you dream big, there is no boundaries. You can break all the boundaries. And today also probably we are at the time when we are watching Squid Game, which where I don't understand the language, but I'm watching the subtitles and watching the drama. So if the content is good, then the world is your market. So it doesn't matter how big is the industry. What matters is what is your content, what is your film, and where do you want to take that film to.
That's wonderful. What about you, Sangeetha? Would you like to add anything about this growth that we're seeing in Kannada cinema, and you obviously being a prominent face as well of the industry? So what would you like to say about this growth?
I'm actually very proud because KGF has opened the industry for everyone. In the sense, everyone knows about it. So everyone now comes back and watch Yash movies, other movies which are made in Kannada. So when I was traveling in Mumbai a few years back, I saw a person in the local train. I saw a person watching Yash other films like Kannada film, which actually I had not watched. So I was proud, and I was really proud of that moment. And I was like, this is our film, so watch it. So we also have amazing content, but KGF opened it to everyone, and it has also helped us, 777 Charlie, also in many ways. Like now people are expecting more from Kannada industry. Whenever a Kannada movie is coming, they are looking forward. So now language is not a barrier anymore. If the content is good, as he said, it will reach everyone. And this is a dog-based film. This shall definitely touch everyone's heart.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I'm a huge animal lover myself, and it's really interesting actually, because I wanted to share with you both actually. Like, I was going through a very rough patch in my life where I was going through depression, and my cousin had a dog, has a dog, and I spent one weekend with that dog, and I ended up becoming so attached to it. And I think 777 Charlie really is a homage to the human spirit within the animals, and how they actually are a lot more sincere and much more soulful in comparison to how we can be. And with humanity right now, it's going through an absolute turbulence, and I'm just really glad that we've got a beautiful film like this coming out, and I'm very excited to watch the film. So firstly, a huge thank you to both of you, Rakshit and to Sangeetha, for joining me on Filme Shilmy. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I cannot wait to watch more great films from you both.
Thank you so much, Anuj. Pleasure talking to you.
Yes.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.